All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our BCBA practice exam series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out behavioranalyst.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. The target replacement behavior and a behavior plan involve the client using sign language to communicate hungry or thirsty instead of making loud grunting sounds. The technician reports the intervention is not working, but during supervision, you notice that the technician sometimes waits as long as 10 seconds before delivering reinforcement following the target behavior. What is the technician struggling with? A lot going on in this question. Remember, let's focus on what the question is asking. And the question is asking about the technician and what they're struggling with. Well, we know from your supervision that the technician is waiting as long as 10 seconds before delivering reinforcement following the target behavior. Why is that an issue? We want the consequence to come as close to the target behavior as possible. If we're waiting 10 seconds, there's a good chance where you're reinforcing something other than our target. So what do we call that? What do we call it? The closeness of the consequence to the behavior. A, contiguity. Yes, this is what we consider contiguity. We want the consequence to be contiguous with the target behavior. So we need to improve how quickly reinforcement is being delivered. B, automaticity. Automaticity says that a person does not need to know they're being reinforced or punished for it to have an effect. That's not the issue here. We're looking at the technician. Conditioning. We are not looking at the technician attempting to condition anything, nor are we looking at the technician attempting to shape anything. The issue is the closeness of the consequence, which is also known as contiguity. Logan is observing a group of children on the playground and recording instances of fighting or disruption as they occur, using a data sheet and tally marks to record each occurrence in real time. Logan is doing what? Okay, straightforward measurement question. We have an easy question here. Let's trust our preparation, our knowledge. Don't overthink easy questions. Just view them as free points. In this case, we have an instance of Logan taking measurement. He's taking occurrence data using tally marks. So each time something happens, he just takes a simple tally mark in real time, every time. So what is he doing? A, using indirect measures since he is not engaged with the children. Logan is directly observing these children and continuously taking their data. This is direct measurement. B, using direct measures. Yes, this is a direct measurement of the children's behavior. C, using product measurement. Logan is not taking the product of the fight or disruption. He's taking it as they occur. And then implementing a functional analysis. Logan is not looking at the function here. He's looking at the direct measurement, or the frequency, in other words, of the fighting or disruption. Logan is using direct measures. The red team loses the team challenge in Gordon Ramsay's cooking show. As punishment, they must make 1,000 cupcakes for the event tonight. While they make the cupcakes, Gordon is going to take the blue team out for dinner and then check on the cupcakes when he gets back. What type of measurement is Gordon using? All right, back-to-back measurement questions. Now we're looking at Gordon. What is he measuring? Well, we know Gordon has a red team that lost, and as punishment, they're making 1,000 cupcakes. Gordon, as they do that, goes out to dinner and then checks on the cupcakes when he gets back. So if we have a situation where we don't watch the behavior as it happens, but we measure the outcome, what do we call that? A, indirect. You could say it's indirect, right? Because he's not observing the behavior, but the better description is a product. Gordon is measuring the product of the cupcake making behavior. It is not direct because Gordon is not directly observing these cupcakes, and it isn't time sampling. It's just a simple product measurement. Susan, who has 5 years of experience as a behavior analyst, tends to lower her expectations for clients who communicate poorly or not at all. This is consistent across every client she sees. Is this an issue, and what should Susan do? So this is related to an ethical standpoint of how we handle clients and proper client management. What is the possible issue here? Well, Susan lowers expectations for clients who communicate poorly or not at all. Why would that be an issue? Well, just because they're not communicating doesn't mean they can't excel in other areas. So if Susan is going in and with a client who can't communicate and is already lowering her expectations before any assessment, before any other data collection, well, Susan's programming is likely going to be biased and maybe not as strong. So, what should Susan do in this situation? Is it an issue? Yes, Susan should address this personal bias through professional development. She should. We all have biases. It doesn't make Susan a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person, but we can be biased. Maybe in Susan's 5 years of experience, she's ran into a lot of situations where poor communication has led to poor outcomes. That doesn't mean the next client is going to be the same. So she has to address these biases that are potentially affecting her service. B, yes, all clients should have the same expectations. Well, that's also not true, right? We have to have expectations based on the client's skill level and our ability to work with the client and a lot of different variables. C, no, clients who cannot communicate are less likely to succeed. That's just not true either, right? There are many clients who can communicate who may have a much lower chance at success or lower expectations than someone who can't communicate. That's too much of a generalization. The issue here is Susan has biases against clients who don't communicate well, and she needs to address those biases. Sarah and her friends are reviewing the menu at a new restaurant. As she looks through the options, she sees the word pasta printed in the entrees section. Sarah doesn't like pasta and doesn't want pasta, but she says pasta out loud while pointing to it on the menu. What is Sarah demonstrating? So let's look at a verbal behavior question because Sarah is verbalizing something. And what is she verbalizing? Well, she's at a restaurant reading a menu. She sees the word pasta, doesn't want it, doesn't like it, but says pasta out loud and points to it. What is the importance of the fact Sarah doesn't like pasta and doesn't want pasta? Well, that's going to eliminate the fact that it is a mand, right? Because a man is evoked by a motivating operation. Sarah doesn't want pasta, doesn't like it. So saying pasta is not manding for that item. What she is doing is reading, right? She's engaging in a textual. She's reading that word pasta out loud. It's not a tact, right? A tact is evoked by a nonverbal stimulus, but reading it, her behavior is evoked by a verbal stimulus. That word pasta is considered a written verbal stimulus. So Sarah is engaging in a textual. It's not an echoic because it doesn't have that formal similarity, and it is not evoked by that spoken verbal SD. And it isn't a mand because she doesn't like pasta, doesn't want pasta, so she's not manding for pasta. What she's doing is simply reading, which is a textual. A marine biologist is studying the habits of dolphins. The researcher is looking to find out just how often dolphins jump out of the water. During a 30-minute observation, the researcher records each time the dolphin breaches the surface. What type of measurement is being used? This is a good teaching question, right? Because we have a 30-minute observation. And a lot of times when people see shorter observation times, for whatever reason, they think interval or time sampling. You can use continuous measurement for 5 minutes. All continuous measurement says is we are taking data the whole time and continuously. So if they're observing for 30 minutes and continuously taking data, not using a sample of time and not using intervals, then it can be continuous. If this researcher wants to know how often dolphins jump out of water, and they record each time the dolphin breaches the surface, not using intervals, not using time sampling, then this is going to be continuous. It's not partial interval recording because there is no indication of intervals here, right? We just have one 30-minute observation. It's not broken into intervals. It isn't momentary time sampling. Again, we're not using intervals. We're not taking the sample of this observation. We are continuously measuring every time the dolphin breaches the surface. Don't let a shorter observation period make you think it's automatically going to be discontinuous measurement. At the onset of a case, the father of your client told you that he wanted his son to be able to get ready for the day independently and to meet his basic needs without additional help. At this time, data show that the child has achieved both of these goals and is more independent than ever. The child has also not engaged in problem behavior in over 2 months. What is the next step as a behavior analyst? Let's think about this, right? This is related to possible termination of services, the need for services. And so, as the behavior analyst in this sense, right, we know that the father of your client said he wanted his son to get ready independently and meet basic needs. Right now, data show you've achieved those goals and they're more independent than ever. So, it's been a very successful time. What we can't do in this situation, when we've achieved all our goals, we've made a lot of progress, is to just go hunting for new things. We have to have a good socially valid reason to continue service. So, no problem behavior, achieved our goals. What is our next step? A, conduct another functional behavior assessment to find additional issues to address. You've addressed everything. There's no problem behavior. You've met your goals. We might be done, right? B, create a plan to fade out services at an acceptable pace. This is what you do. Not enough people do this. People hang on to clients for way too long. We've met our goals. We've exceeded our goals. There is no problem behavior. It's time to move on, right? It's time to let go. We have to start to fade out services at an acceptable pace. C, terminate services at this time as your work is done. We never terminate services immediately. D, continue implementing the intervention to prevent any regression. Every fact given here indicates we have accomplished what we set out to do. Our services are likely no longer needed. The reason we fade out at an acceptable pace is to give us time to see if new things pop up. The answer here is create a plan to fade out services at an acceptable pace. A group of friends all go out for dinner and order a round of drinks. Rhonda orders a mojito and really enjoys it. After the table saw how much Rhonda enjoyed the drink, the rest of the table ordered one the next time around. What is occurring? So here we have the difference between imitation and observational learning. With imitation, we have a model, and then the imitation happens immediately. In this case, Rhonda orders the mojito, enjoys the drink, drinks the whole drink, and then the table orders it the next time around. Did they imitate? No, because imitation happens immediately. What they did was use observational learning. They saw Rhonda order the mojito. They saw Rhonda enjoy the drink. They learned from observation, and then they ordered the drink themselves. Rhonda is not acting as the model because there is no imitation. Understand that observational learning is very similar to what we would consider an unplanned model, except that the learning doesn't necessarily happen right away. So imitation happens immediately. Observational learning typically does not. A school psychologist wants to measure how frequently a student fidgets during a 15-minute class period. Psychologist divides the observation period into 30-second intervals and marks each interval in which the student fidgets at least once, even if the fidgeting occurred for only a brief moment. What type of measurement procedure is being used? All right, let's think about this. Another measurement question where we have a situation where a psychologist wants to measure fidgeting during a 15-minute class period. Now, unlike the prior question, we are breaking into intervals here. So this tells us we do have some interval recording going on. Each time, let's say 1, 2, 3, let's just say 3 intervals. Each time the student fidgets at all, the fidget occurs only for a brief moment, it counts. What do we consider that? Well, we consider that a partial interval recording, which with partial interval recording, if the behavior happens at all during the interval, it counts. Whole interval, we need the behavior to happen the entire time for it to count. Momentary time sampling and play check, it has to happen at the very end of the interval. But each interval in which the student fidgets at least once, even for a brief moment, if that counts, we are using a partial interval recording system. Which of the following answer choices is most related to internal validity? What does internal validity say? It says our DV, our dependent variable, and independent variable are related, right? Our independent variable has some effect on the dependent variable. There's a functional relationship. Nothing is interfering with that. So which of the following answer choices most represents that idea? A, ensuring changes in the dependent variable are a result of manipulating the independent variable. Yes, we want our manipulations to affect the dependent variable. B, showing the effectiveness of an intervention across several settings. Well, that has to do with generalization, which is a external validity idea. C, demonstrating maintenance once an intervention is over. Again, that's much more related to external validity. D, confirming that your measurement system is accurately capturing the behavior of interest. Although very important, internal validity has to do with control. Are we controlling the behavior through our manipulations? Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for all of our videos. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.